We continue now at the top of Daf Ayin Beis Amud Aleph in Meseches Nedarim. This is Nedarim Daf 72a. And the previous summit, the Gemara had asked, what is gerushin? Is it considered to be like shtika? Let's say the person hears about a neder of his wife, and then he divorces her. Is that considered like being silent? Or is that considered like hakama? It's considered like upholding the neder. And the Gemara says, Tashma, come in here, a proof in the following brisa. Emasai amru meis habal nisrokin rishus la'av. So the Brisa says, when do we say that if the husband dies, let's say by the case of Erisin, when the woman is betrothed, so when do we say that the Rishus now goes to the father and he has the ability to annul the Nedarim? Bizman shelo shama habal, that would be in a situation, let's say the husband didn't hear about her neder, o shama v'hefer, or let's say he did hear about it and he annulled the neder, o shama v'shasak umeis bo bayom, or let's say he heard about it and he was silent and died that very same day, so an entire day didn't go by, because again, if a whole day goes by, that's as if he has upheld the neder. And so those are the cases where if the husband dies, again, the Rishus goes to the father to annul her nedarim. And so the Gemara now says, V'i amr gerushin kishtika damu. Now, if you're going to say that gerushin, that's considered also like being silent, so listening nami, o shama v'girish. Why don't we have that as a case as well? Let's say the husband hears about it and divorces her. That's like being silent. It's not considered a hakama, and the Rishus would go to the father. Midalo tani hachi, and from the fact that the Brisa doesn't say that, shma mina gerushin ka'akama damu. You see from here that gerushin is like hakama. It's like upholding the neder, and in that situation, when the husband upheld the neder, the power to annul the neder would actually not transfer to the father after the husband dies. But the Gemara says, Eimo Seifa, let's look at the end of this brisa. The end of the brisa says, Avalim Shama V'kiyem. Let's say the husband heard about it and he upheld the neder. O Shama V'shasak Umeis Biyom Shalachra. But let's say he heard about the neder and he was silent, but he died the next day. So a whole day of silence went by, which is the same thing as upholding the neder. So then, Ein Yachol Lahafer. So then the father is not able to annul the neder, because once the husband has already upheld it, even though he died, the power does not transfer over to the father. And so the Gemara now says we can also make a diak from the end of the brisa. V'amr gerushin ka'akamadam. If you say that gerushin divorce is considered like upholding the neder, so listening, so it should have also taught v'im shama v'girish. It should have said, let's say he heard about it and he divorced her. That's also hakama, and also in that case the father is not able to annul her nedarim. Elamidlo katani hachi. Rather, from the fact that the brisa does not say that, shmami no gerushin kishtika damu. You see from there that gerushin is like shtika. Gerushin is like being silent. And so the Gemara says, Elameha leko l'mashma mina. Rather, from this, we can't bring a proof one way or the other. Iresha dafka nasiv seifa misham resha. Iseifa dafka nasiv resha misham seifa. It could be you take the resha seriously, you make the diak from there, and the seifa is just modeled after the resha. Or it could be we take the seifa seriously, we make the diak from there, and the resha is modeled after the seifa. There's no way to tell one way or another from this brisa. And the Gemara continues, Tashma, coming here a proof from the Mishnah later on, Nadra v'hi arusa, let's say she makes the neder, and she's betrothed, v'niskarsha v'nisarsa bo bayom, and then she's divorced, and she's betrothed again that same day, afilu l'mei, even to 100 different men. The halacha is, aviya u'balaha acharon mefirin nedareha. Her father and her last husband, they are the ones that annul her vows. And the Gemara says, Shmami, no, you see from this, gerushin kishtika damu, that divorce is the same thing as silence. The ika kama damu, because if it's as if the husband upheld the neder, so mi motzi meifar aras achron nidri to ukim aras rishon, would the last husband be able to annul the vows that the first husband upheld? In other words, if divorce is the same as upholding the vows, the last husband would not be able to annul those vows any longer because they've already been upheld. And the Gemara answers, Hachabamayaski. And here, what is the Mishnah talking about? B'shalosh shama aras rishon. That first aras, he never heard of those nedarim, and therefore, since he never heard, so of course it's not going to be considered like upholding the neder if the aras did not even know about the neder. But the Gemara says, if so, why does the case have to be where she's betrothed to another person or to 100 other people on the very same day? Who cares if it's the same day? Even if it's after 100 days, if the Aras never heard the neder, so it would not be considered hakama just because he's been silent. And the Gemara answers to that, Kishelo shama Aras v'shama ha'av. The case over here in the Mishnah is, the Aras did not hear about it. So it's true, as far as the Aras is concerned, it could have been a different day. A day could have gone by, and that would not be considered like upholding the neder. However, the father did hear about her neder, and therefore, since the father heard about her neder, if a day goes by, it's as if the father has upheld the neder, and that's what would cause the problem in terms of annulling the neder. The bo bayom hu demotzi mefer, because again, on that very same day, the father has the ability to annul the neder. Aval mikan va'elach, but from then on, if a whole day goes by and the father heard about it and didn't do anything, lo motzi mefer, he would not be able to annul the neder any longer. And the Gemara continues, Tashma, coming here a proof also from a Mishnah later on, Nadra bo bayom, if she makes a neder that day, Girsha vechzira bo bayom, and he divorces her, and he remarries her on that very same day. So, ein yachol ulahafer. In that case, he's not able to annul the vow. And the Gemara understands, Shema Amino, we see from this, Gerushin kakamadam, with a divorce, is the same thing as upholding the vow. That's why he's not able to be made for the neder. That's why he can't annul the vow, because he divorced her that day. That was already like a hakama, like upholding the vow. And once he upheld the vow, he's not able to annul the vow. And the Gemara answers, Amri, the answer as follows, Hacha bin Nesua askinon. In this Mishnah, we're talking about a situation not of erisin, but a situation of nesuin, of marriage. V'hainu taima de'en yachal lahafer. And this is the reason why he's not able to annul the vow. It's not because of the gerushin. It's considered like hakama. Rather, the reason is mishum de'en habal mefer bekodmin. The halacha is that a husband by nesuin, by marriage, is not able to annul vows that preceded the marriage. That's specifically by nesuin, and that's the explanation of the Mishnah. It's not a proof to the question of whether gerushin is like hakama or not. And we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Ayin Beis Amud Beis.